Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 21 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live, I think right at the start of this week, maybe it was over last weekend, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Mexico, it was a race of, well, it was a weekend of attrition to be honest, a weekend of survival, but certainly one well worth a watch. And of course, you know, our championship battle is heating up. There's a big still battle going on at the front of the table. It is all still to play for with just 2 races to go of this campaign there. Ferrari still lead Red Bull by just 32 points in the Constructors' Championship, but you can see Max Verstappen now has a 12-point lead over both of the Ferrari, sorry, a 20-point lead even, over both of the Ferrari cars. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, there's just 1 point between them. They're just 9 and 10 points respectively behind Fernando Alonso and Pierre Gasly as we head towards Sao Paulo, and we've got a 5-point margin over Alpine as well in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, the team are only expecting 6th or above this season, but my personal little target is 4th place there. You know, we want to finish best of the rest, and hopefully then, you know, we're doing so much research ready for Season 2 of this career mode at the moment that, yeah, we've got a lot of things in the works there. You can see current projects going on, new front wing research and new rear wing research ready for Season 2, of course, with those new regulation changes. I think we've got a little bit of money as well that we can try and spend around the place, but I think that's probably going to come over the winter break. We've just got to try and get through these final couple of races and get ourselves ready for Season 2, of course, where we hope to make that big push towards the front. But yeah, let's head in then to the Brazilian GP weekend here at Sao Paulo. Anything can happen, and changeable conditions are probably quite a likely occurrence.
The carnival atmosphere has already started here in Sao Paulo as Brazil welcomes the Formula One Grand Prix. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache has been a staple of the racing calendar for decades, and soon we'll once again be watching the best drivers in the world give it their all. The Sao Paulo track is beautifully designed to present an enticing challenge for teams and drivers alike. Between medium-speed S-corners, hill climbs, and the high-speed section after Junção, this circuit calls for cars to have a balanced setup to succeed here. With the season nearly concluded, time is running out for the teams. Can anyone make a last-minute breakthrough? Can the leading drivers hold on? Only time will tell. Okay then, let's get to it.
Right, but it's always a nice feeling to come back to Brazil, of course, in Formula 1. Light rain predicted on Saturday, but we'll wait and see as to how that affects the running order. But I must admit, you know, we are taking quite a gamble trying to make sure that we stay ahead of Alpine between now and the end of the campaign. You know, we could have quite easily slapped on a couple of other upgrades onto the car and sort of seen how we fared, but I think, you know, we desperately want to try and set ourselves up ready for Season 2 of this career mode as well. You know, that's got to be the big priority, bringing McLaren back towards the front of the field. But as always, we'll make some quick setup tweaks there, see what sort of car setup both of our drivers want this weekend. Of course, got to change and fine-tune and do all this, that, and the other around this venue. So, yeah, we'll try a bit more of a neutral setup with Lando. We'll go a bit more extreme on Oscar Piastri's end, and we'll just see how they get on and pray that both of them can make it to the end of Free Practice 1 without any issues, because it definitely seems to be a common occurrence still. Oh, someone's binned it then. 15 minutes in. It looks to be an Alfa Romeo. Is it Zhou Guanyu? Yes, it is. Has gone off exploring the old version of Sao Paulo. They're down at Turn 1. We'll bring both cars in. We'll try and see if we've gathered up any data nice and early on in the session then. And, of course, it will only allow us just to fine-tune a couple of little bits and pieces. But, you know, if you've got some free time, you may as well peel back in. It does always make me laugh, the fact we seem to get virtual safety cars here on F1 Manager, because, of course, especially in free practice even, just there's no point really doing laps anymore. You can see everyone is just way off the pace there, and why don't they just red flag these sessions, and then we can just go racing again, perhaps, or practicing even, I should say. We're still getting a few yellow flags out there, but yeah, 40 minutes left of running. Let's just see if we can try and now actually get a full sort of practice sim run through. Well, just over halfway through Free Practice 1 then. I know it's far too early in the weekend to be drawing conclusions, but, you know, Ferrari 20 points back behind Max Verstappen. They need to try and get a couple of wins on the board. However, they're in a very difficult position here. 2 races to go of the campaign. If they were to finish 1-2 in both Grand Prix, they could still snooker away the championship from Verstappen, but they would have to require one driver to win both of those races. Now, Leclerc and Sainz are tied on points, 317 apiece. I mean, if you're Ferrari, sensibly, you say Charles Leclerc is your #1 driver, but Sainz has led so much of this campaign, has then gone on to bottle it about 3 times in the last 6 Grand Prix. It must be, I would not want to be Mattia Binotto or now, of course, Fred Vasseur down at that team this year. It was a whole lot easier when I was there. You know, we absolutely dominated it and we kind of just let them race. But now I'm wondering whether Ferrari have got that option anymore. Oscar Piastri, though, has finished off his free practice programs there. We'll head back into the pit lane. We'll try and gather some more data. And we should be able to get them both back out for one more run. I mean, of course, we speculate about Ferrari. You know, what can they do in these final couple of races? On the contrary to that, if Verstappen wins this weekend, that's it. It's over. He's won the World Championship, so Ferrari still might not get a look in. Either way, of course, you know, we talk about potentially being able to snooker away in #1 drivers, but if Red Bull and Verstappen are quicker this weekend, it's over. It's done, and we've got an Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that might have a little less drama in it. It seems like between F1 Manager and F1 22, for me, more titles still have ended up being settled here in Brazil than in Abu Dhabi. I mean, my team Season 1 definitely was before Abu Dhabi. My team Season 2, Season 3 were both in Abu Dhabi, to be fair. Season 4, of course, we won it in Brazil. And then the Haas Road to Glory as well, of course, we wrapped up in Brazil. We also then wrapped up this championship in Brazil. So, sorry, in the Ferrari career mode. Not a lot happens in Abu Dhabi still, for me at least, on the F1 games. I don't get those Arab-style 8-way title shootouts. Maybe I need to get the script out. Once binned it, it's a Haas car. Is it Magnussen? Yes, it is. Same place as Zhou Guanyu went off earlier on then in the session. So I'm guessing he's just completely missed his braking point. But yeah, 4 minutes left of free practice then. Yeah, it is going to be a virtual safety car once again. So that's basically going to be the end of practice. Feel like we've got some good data though out of the car. Let's see what Magnussen's done then. Is it just your standard lock-up? He's actually very, very close to one of our cars as well. So got to be very, very careful of what Magnussen's thinking. And yeah, just completely, I don't know why he's hit the wall, but that's where he's chosen to try and get the car slowed down. But yeah, that's going to be the end then of free practice. Haas, understandably not happy with that either. But yeah, let's jump into qualifying.
Welcome back as we continue our race weekend. Practice has finished and qualifying is hot on its heels. There's very little time to relax because each and every driver will need to bring their A game to the track for qualifying. They'll need to push themselves to the limit if they're to be challenging for a strong grid position. You simply never know what you'll see come qualifying. There's not much left to say, so let's get into it.
Right, well, here we are then, qualifying day in Sao Paulo, and look at that, Lando Norris seemingly getting up to pace then with the car. Oscar Piastri not too far away either. If we can be best of the rest this weekend, that would be very, very useful there. Bottas and Alonso with some grid penalties as well as a handful of other cars towards the rear of the field. We need to focus on ourselves this weekend, but I am very, very intrigued to watch that championship battle at the front. Hopefully, though, we can just get out of Q1, no problems. Well, sending out both of our cars then straight into Q2. Yes, it was your usual 5. It was the Williams, the Aston Martins, and Mick Schumacher out in Q1. So, yeah, I'm not feeling 100% confident, to be completely honest there, as I've just noticed. Rain is on the radar, so have we just gone out a little bit too late? Will we now just about be able to get a lap in before a lot of other cars? That I had not noticed, so we're going to have to be super careful here then. Verstappen, Sainz, Perez already nice and tidily through. Charles Leclerc is still in the pits because Ferrari, but is this suddenly now going to throw a spanner into the works for a lot of cars this weekend, and could we now potentially launch ourselves into Q3? Almost accidentally there, because I've actually sent both cars out on an old set of the soft compound tyres, just so we could try and get a banker lap in. But if it is now suddenly going to rain, which, as you can see now it is, we have got to get on with it. Lando Norris is just out on his lap. Of course, it shouldn't cost them too much time until it gets up towards the 1 mil mark. I might have accidentally just nailed this, or I've accidentally gone and screwed myself. We'll wait and find out as we round our way through the final couple of corners there. I mean, Charles Leclerc now heading out onto the circuit, but surely the rain ramping up as quickly as it is, he's not going to stand much of a chance. How is Lando Norris faring? He's got the Alpine of, I think, Esteban Ocon in his way. So hopefully the Frenchman hasn't cost us too much time there, as Fernando Alonso does look very, very quick at the moment. We can't afford to peel either car into the pit lane. Now, Oscar Piastri up at the final corner towards the line will go P9 there, 2.3 off the pole. Lando Norris hopefully will go, I mean, he should, if he goes quicker than Knight, I'll be very impressed, but hopefully he'll slot in to P10 there, up over the start-finish line. Then Lando Norris does go into P10, 4 seconds off the pace though, so you can see just how quickly he's falling off there. Zhou Guanyu just misses out behind him. We might just have accidentally snuck our way through, because, I mean, Charles Leclerc, they're out on a set of softs. He's not going to stand a chance, surely, and intermediate surely won't be quick enough. And there we go then, after a very, very tense Q2 session, we do make it through there, clear of Zhou Guanyu. You can see Charles Leclerc down in P12. That might be game over for him in the championship, but we've seen him carve his way through on multiple occasions before that. It is going to be Sainz versus Verstappen, by the looks of it, at the front of the field this weekend. But can we go any higher than 9th and 10th on the grid? I mean, hopefully we'll be ahead of Alonso anyway. Let's wait and find out. Right, well, it is a clear track then once more here for Q3. The rain does seem to come in and move out very, very quickly on F1 Manager. But Lando Norris, he's got the luxury of 3 sets of fresh soft compound tyres ready for Q3 here. So we're just going to keep letting him pound out the laps to try and get one really nailed up one there. He has got a Red Bull of Max Verstappen heading out the pit lane. Hopefully the Red Bull driver is going to spot him. Oscar Piastri has only got 2 sets. But yeah, we'll wait and see what time Lando can do first of all as a benchmark. Come on then, is Verstappen going to hold him up? Yeah, of course he is. Come on, blue flags. Blue flags. They really should be handing out 5-place grid penalties for this sort of thing, as Verstappen finally does peel out of the way. But, I mean, let's be fair, the lap's over already. We may as well just save the tyres. Well, hopefully this time around then we can try and get both cars into some clear air there. Lando Norris, of course, because the pit lane, the start-finish line is towards the start of the pit lane, has actually still got a time on the board there, 9 seconds off the pace. But I'm going to send both cars out then on a scrub set of tyres. Just now I'm thinking, of course, if we only use 1 fresh set, we carry an extra set into the Grand Prix, and that might come really in handy if we get a late race safety car or something like that. So we'll try and monitor the gap, see what both drivers can do on their Q3 outings there. You can see Sector 189, Sector 189. Oscar Piastri, though, slightly up this time around there. You know, he has been pushing on well. Later on in the year, he has got more and more comfortable with the car. You know, credit where it's due. Oscar Piastri, you know, he's got going up against a very, very competitive teammate in Lando Norris. Only a point behind him, remember, as we head into Sao Paulo. But it does go to show how good Lando's been, the fact that Oscar's got a win and is still behind Lando Norris, and I don't think Norris has even had a podium this year. He just has been brutally consistent, more often than not, sort of being inside that top 10. Alonso, though, only half a second away from pole position in his Alpine so far. That is a mega lap time by the Spaniard. Where will Lando Norris go? I'm guessing it's going to be P8. Yes, it is. A couple of tenths behind Esteban Ocon there. Is Oscar Piastri going any quicker than his teammate? No, they're pretty much even. Piastri over the line. He will go into P9 there, just over a tenth away. Oscar Piastri then at the final corner up towards the start-finish line. Lando Norris has cut it very, very fine this weekend, but 1 run then on the fresh set of soft compound tyres for both of our cars. Fingers crossed they can try and get a good lap time on the board there, as we'll ride with Oscar Piastri then, and we'll try and monitor the gaps to his teammate a little bit further back then, heading out down the Esquido de Lago then to start the lap. You're looking at around the 100-metre board in towards turn 4 there. Of course, you know, plenty of controversy down there in recent years. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton's Titanic, but not really fair battle. And of course, Sebastian Vettel all the way back in 2012, of course, where he was turned into a spin by Bruno Senna there. Often forgotten, at least in my opinion, that Seb did turn across the nose of Bruno. There wasn't really a lot he could do in that situation. But Perez will only line up P3 then on the grid. It is still the Verstappen versus Carlos Sainz show as they head up towards the start-finish line. Max Verstappen will improve onto a 109.1 there, as Sainz, unable to go faster, will stay in P3. Alonso ahead of Hamilton. That is a mega lap by the Spaniard then, is Gasly now just a second away from the pole. Lando Norris, though, Oscar Piastri even up towards the line. Green sector 1, green in sector 2, up over the start-finish line. It's going to be a 10.4. That will promote him up into P8 then, so a little bit better at the moment. Will we see Lando Norris able to go quicker than his teammate out of the final corner up towards the start-finish line? Can he go ahead of Esteban Ocon? No, he cannot. Oscar Piastri quicker than Lando Norris then at the end of qualifying. I guess the final one, I think Magnussen is done anyway, so we're not going to have to worry about him or Fernando Alonso there. So it's P8 and 9 on the grid, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix, but Alpine look quick. Alonso with grid penalties. That is going to be a tough old battle.
The grid is packed and there's electricity in the air, but there's no surprises in that. It's race day.
Qualifying went well for McLaren, and they're set to start this race feeling quite comfortable. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. A sunny day here with only a few clouds in the sky. If things stay this way, the weather shouldn't pose any challenges to the teams.
As ever though, the teams will be paying close attention to their strategies as the race approaches. Here we go, folks. This is the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
Right, well, here we are then, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Sao Paulo is once again going to be the roar of V6 turbo hybrids. It doesn't quite have the same effect, does it, as the roar of V10s. But in terms of strategy then, looks like it's going to be very, very high tire deg this weekend. I fancy, is it going to be possible to do mediums over to hards? It certainly looks like it's going to be quite a tall order, but you know, I think if we can do 31, 32 laps on those mediums and then, you know, the other 40 or so are on the softs, that might be the way to go here. I think there's a good chance for safety car as well this weekend. I'm expecting quite a chaotic Grand Prix, but I'm going to try and put all my eggs into that medium and then hard basket there. So we'll try and take Lando Norris, probably go one lap further early on in the GP, but very, very difficult race ahead of us. 71 laps around this Sao Paulo circuit, starting 7th and 8th by virtue of some grid penalties. Let's get into it. Penultimate race of the year here in Brazil.
Now we should have good weather for the race, and that will be welcome news for the teams. Looking at the McLaren, they might not be in the top 3 spots, but things could change fast once the race gets underway. Norris there, further down the grid. Not as close to the front as they might have wished for, but we know the race order can change a lot during those first few corners. The race start is mere seconds away. And now, it's time for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, Verstappen then, good clean getaway at the front of the field. Carlos Sainz will need to try and get past him as they head down towards turn 1 there. We've just got to make sure that both our McLaren cars get through the first turn nice and tidy. As it looks like Lando Norris is going to try and put a move on Oscar almost immediately there. He's got the inside as we head out of the Center S, but still side by side as we head down the Escudo Largo then for the first time. And it looks like Piastri on the outside there is not going to give it up just yet. We've got Charles Leclerc 3 wide just behind us. That all got a little bit close for comfort, but he knows he's got to make progress as early as possible in this GP there. Verstappen still leads from Sainz and Perez as we head up the hill, but look at this, Oscar Piastri back up the inside of Lando Norris, of course, where he collided with Charles Leclerc just a couple of years ago. Did Lando, of course, sent the Ferrari into a spin at the top of the hill there, but still, come on lads, we've got to be careful early on in this race as Lando Norris has just about hung on there. Someone's in the wall. It's Verstappen! Verstappen into the wall on lap 1 of the Brazilian Grand Prix there. What on earth has the Dutchman done? He can't have locked up. He's under very little pressure there, and he's gone straight on into the wall. And that suddenly now gives Ferrari a huge opportunity in this Grand Prix. He's able to get going again, and no safety car either from that instant, but he's lost half his front wing. And that is crazy scenes at the start of this race there. So Carlos Sainz now leads the way. Charles Leclerc still in P8 there, but he might be about to go into P7 ahead of Oscar Piastri. Not really too sure it's worth a battle for us early on in the race. Of course, we've got our own championship fight on our hands, but that is a chaotic start then to this Brazilian Grand Prix there. Verstappen into the pit lane, of course, on just lap 1 from an unforced error. We don't see that often from the Dutchman, but he's going to bolt on a set of the hard compound tyres then to try and go nice and long into this Grand Prix. Looks like there's issues at the back of the car as well. I think that might have just been trying to get the new front wing on it. But yeah, Sainz still leads there, ahead of Sergio Perez at the end of lap 1. And now Red Bull really do need the Mexican to do him a favour and try and get ahead of the Spaniard there. Charles Leclerc still trying to apply pressure to Lando Norris as we head in towards the middle sector. But we need to try and push on early in this GP. We cannot let Ocon get too far away. Alonso, of course, started. He's sat in P11, so he's not too far back either. So we've just got to get on with it. It might be worth letting Charles Leclerc by. We've got George Russell as well waiting in the wings, and then trying to hang on to their coattails to bring us towards the Alpine. But it is going to be a very, very strategic race here in Brazil. Charles Leclerc, though, I'm sure, will try and make light work of Lando Norris as we head out of the final corner. Of course, DRS just about to be enabled then here in Brazil. And are we going to see Charles Leclerc get closer and closer as we head back up towards turn 1? He is certainly gaining there as Oscar Piastri under pressure from George Russell behind. And both of our cars looks like they'll be able to hang on. George Russell on soft compound tyres though to the inside through the second part of the Senna S. Oscar Piastri getting all over the curbing. And like I said, these aren't the cars we've got to battle this weekend. We've really got to focus on the drivers we're competing with there as George Russell will make it through. Norris though still able to keep Charles Leclerc at bay. But Piastri back down to 9th. Oh, Verstappen having even more issues than early on in this Grand Prix as Charles Leclerc has now gone through and the Dutchman just cannot get his braking sorted. What on earth is going on with Max Verstappen here? Having an absolute meltdown early on in this race. He's lucky he's got a 20-point lead in the championship there, but with Charles Leclerc all the way up into potentially P4 in just a moment as he tries to have a look around the outside of Pierre Gasly there. Now, yeah, there we go. That's a pretty easy move for the Monegasque driver. He's not too far away from the front three, and this championship battle is certainly not over just yet then. Norris now trying to keep Russell at bay. I think we've got to get Oscar Piastri just to push on a little bit as well. In terms of tyre choices, though, everyone pretty much on the mediums, apart from Russell and a few backmarker cars there. Of course, Verstappen already having to make that stop. But let's try and push on and see what we're capable of here. Other instance going on. Here goes Sergio Perez, though, down the inside of Carlos Sainz as we head down the Esquina del Lago once more. We've got yellow flags out in Sector 1. That is an Alfa Romeo with Valtteri Bottas, who, I don't know how he's done that, but he's managed to loop it round incredibly quickly. Sainz hangs on to the lead at the front of the field there, but I'm sure Max Verstappen will be loving a safety car at some point this afternoon. Oscar Piastri is trying to keep an absolute horde of cars behind him, though. He's got Alonso, Magnussen, Vettel, and Yuki Tsunoda all waiting in the wings, but he's just got to try and push on. We've got another car that's span round. Can't see who that is. It's Charles Leclerc! What on earth is going on here in Brazil? We've spoke about Carlos Sainz making errors so often late on in this campaign, and now suddenly his two championship rivals are doing it. And Sainz now is in the hot seat as Charles Leclerc. All that progress he's made early on in this race is about to get completely undone. And he's going to find himself back at the rear of the field there. Down into P13, he is still ahead of the back markers. And he hasn't lost his wing either. But that promotes us back into 7th and 8th once more. What on earth is happening? Oh, Piastri, though, starting to leak positions as well there. Magnussen has snuck by. I just don't think our car's got the pace this weekend to really try and match a lot of these other ones around us. You know, we've put so much development focus now into Season 2 that, you know, the likes of Haas and Alpine and various other teams as well, of course, especially, you know, Oscar Piastri behind the wheel isn't as strong as Lando Norris either. He's used a lot of his battery as well early on in this race. We just wanted to try and keep Alonso at bay for as long as we possibly could there, and looks like he will do yet again for just another lap. But I'm tempted, honestly, to bolt Oscar onto a two-stop strategy here. Not only is he slower than Lando, but he's also shredding the tyres a lot more as we've got yellow flags out Sector 3. That is Nicholas Latifi and Stroll. The two Canadians have come together then in this Grand Prix, and now we might have a safety car. Yes, we do. Safety car out here in Brazil. I'm going to put Oscar Piastri then straight over onto a set of the hard compound tyres, but that works out really nicely for Max Verstappen as the whole field is about to get bunched back up. I don't think it's worth it though for Lando. We may as well just try and save everything we possibly can at the moment. Save some fuel, save some battery, everything we can just to micromanage. But yeah, both of those cars then I think out of the Grand Prix. I think Stroll actually might still be running, but Latifi out, and unfortunately I couldn't see what happened. Right, well, it looks like Oscar Piastri then is basically going to be the only car into the pit lane, but yeah, it's a very, very early stop to be making in this GP, but I think it might be worth it there just to try and effectively reset him against the rest of the field. Of course, he can just sort of try and sneak his way through the backmarker cars and then hope that when everyone else pits that he can just go a bit longer in this race. But we're not even on lap 10 yet, and we've already got about 4 crashes, 1 car out, and 2 championship rivals spinning around. Safety car in then at the end of lap 10, I think.
Safety car is in this lap.
And we are about to go green flag racing once again then. I mean, really the focus now has got to be on Lando Norris at the moment. Oscar's just got to try and go as long as he can in this GP now on those on those hard compound tyres. But it's green flag racing then once more. Carlos Sainz will lead the way back down towards turn 1. Of course, Charles Leclerc in P12. Max Verstappen down in P18 there. So he's going to be trying to apply pressure to our driver in just a second there. As Verstappen, I think, has he bolted on a fresh set of softs? No, he's still on those old hard tyres. It's just the red walls on that Red Bull. But yeah, Oscar Piastri then back down into P18 of this Grand Prix, but it is just about trying to keep out of trouble and keep going as far as he possibly can this afternoon. Norris, though, I'm hoping he can try and keep Magnussen at bay, as we've got a little bit of spare fuel now that we can try and use. Well, we can see now Fernando Alonso looking so quick early on in this race is now up into P8 there behind Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri still sat in P18. Again, you know, tempted, actually, you know what, he's got a bit of clear air. We'll just get him to use a bit more of his fuel. Don't want him battling with Lance Stroll all too much this afternoon. But yeah, Lando Norris is really having to try and fly the McLaren flag early on in this GP. Gasly now has been shuffled back though behind the Mercs, so he might start losing out a little bit of pace there. As you can see, everyone's still in the DRS. Charles Leclerc now back inside the top 10 as well this afternoon, so it is all kicking off still in Brazil. There is a lot left to be decided, as Perez now back into the lead of the race ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Lewis Hamilton, of course, has already won a couple of times this year, just now waiting in the wings. Are we going to see Sainz get a run down in towards turn 4? Again, he'll just sit back. Oh, we've got another incident. Someone else has gone round then in this Grand Prix. Who is dropping down the order? Virtual safety car. Big gap forming behind. So has Alonso come together with someone then? He's lost his end plates. Let's have a look. What has he done? Fernando Alonso. Has he tried to have a look up the inside? Oh no, he's just looped it around on the exit, and Magnussen, nowhere to go, has gone into the back of him. So virtual safety car, don't think that's really going to change up all too much this afternoon. I mean, if we had a full safety car, perhaps we consider it. But Alonso then, hopefully he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. Won't lose as much time as you normally would there. Russell staying out, and Alonso, yes, is into the pit lane. Then Magnussen as well, of course. So two of the cars we were battling with then in this Grand Prix. That has worked out really nicely for us, and it's also worked out really nicely for Leclerc and Verstappen there, as they're going to pick up a few places as we start lap 17. Oscar Piastri as well should be able to move back up the roster, so not too bad for him, because of course he's going to have slightly older tyres than those other cars, but yeah, nothing too much to worry about. Let's go green flag racing again. Come on, quickly. More and more cars then into the pit lane as Lando Norris up into P2. George Russell spun out in all of this going on there. You can see he was stuck behind Lance Stroll and Oscar Piastri. And again, another car having issues in this race there. But Piastri's still able to keep Lance Stroll at base. Sainz now was pit and come back out in P9. Lando Norris is running in P2 there, just behind Lewis Hamilton. So I want to try and extend that stint a little bit further for Lando Norris. Then looks like a lot of cars are going onto the medium tyres, so definitely a lot of drivers still planning on two-stopping. Yeah, Verstappen now up into P4 there as well, just behind Charles. So we've just got to try and extend this stint as far as possible. Then bolt on those hards, which, to be honest, Lando Norris might be the only car here that one stops, as Lewis Hamilton, is he going to dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap? No, he's not. Hamilton's going to extend, so we're just going to try and get Lando to push on for a couple of laps. Oh, we've got another incident. Haas has gone round. I think that's Magnussen. Has he collected? Oh, he's collected Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc seems to have been involved in yet another incident then in this Grand Prix. We're at 1/3 distance. Come on, lads. Calm it down a little bit there. As you can see, Magnussen on the inside of Charles Leclerc. Oh, he just locks the rear slightly. And I think that was Charles Leclerc's end plate going off there. There you can see Charles Leclerc has lost his front wing end plate. So that's going to have to be another pit stop then for Charles. His championship hopes are not looking great at the moment, as Verstappen still trying to keep Lando Norris still trying to keep Verstappen at bay. We're just trying to use up the extra fuel that we've got, as Piastri then still stuck. George Russell's still behind him, but he has lost the place to Stroll. Oh, we got more yellow flags. Don't say Lando Norris has binned it. Nope, Lando's still okay. Someone else there having issues a bit further back, as now Piastri has lost another place there. Ocon now back ahead of him, as Mick Schumacher's done something at turn 15, but Max Verstappen has gone from first to last to first all inside 26 laps here. I don't quite know how the Dutchman's managed that, but Lando Norris still sat in a very, very good position at the moment. Got about another 5 or so laps, though, before we peel him into the pit lane. But yeah, 40 laps on a set of hards is still a very, very tall order. Oscar Piastri, though, he's just got to sort of grit his teeth and get on with it at the moment. Try and keep Gasly and Alonso at bay, because it might help his teammate later on. Right, well, Sainz now back up then into P2 ahead of Lando Norris. You can see there, where did he make that move? We got Perez and Hamilton trying to apply the pressure. Up the inside through turn 6 there. Very, very brave move by, obviously, the former McLaren driver, but Lando Norris, again, not trying to put up too much of a fight. Of course, we've got our own big battles going on in this championship. His tyre warning light has just flashed up as well. Sergio Perez and Hamilton to the outside there, 3 wide as we head back down towards turn 1, and Perez down the middle will get through. Lando Norris, again, just doesn't really want to be involved too much in this, so we're going to have to try and peel him into the pits quite soon. Lando there, you can see, asking to change tyres. I want to try and get him one more lap, and then we'll bolt on a fresh set. Lando Norris then into the pit lane. Here is Bottas trying to potentially have a look up the inside. They're very, very close as we head into the pit lane. But Bottas, I don't know what tyres he's on. So he's on a set of hard compound tyres as well. So he's doing quite well at the moment. More cars having issues. Piastri down in P12 though. We just do not have the pace at the moment in this car there. As I think Oscar's going to be out very, very close to Lando Norris. But both those Alpines then back up inside the top 10. Just weren't thinking whether the one stop was the right way to go this afternoon. Should be able to get Oscar to about lap 50 odd, and then we'll bolt him back on to a fresh set of the mediums. But yeah, Lando Norris is going to re-emerge in P15. I think we've just got to get on with it. But yeah, this is really not looking good at the moment. You can see now, Zhou Guanyu apparently is the meat in a McLaren sandwich there. Oscar Piastri still losing more and more places at the moment. I don't get how he's struggling so much on those hard compound tyres relative to everyone around him there. As Zhou Guanyu's going to have a look up the inside down the Assetto Corsa. We've still got Charles Leclerc behind us at this stage of the afternoon, as Max Verstappen at half distance still leading the way. And I think I'm going to tell Oscar just to get out of the way. I've just realised I've had him on don't hold up other cars for so long in this race. So of course he's just been focusing on defending. How many laps have I left him doing that for? I'm such a moron at this stage of the day. Now hopefully he can try and go for it a bit more. I did that to try and keep Alonso at bay for a couple of laps, but I must have left it on for about 30 laps here. That could be potentially championship defining. So Verstappen then into the pit lane. He's going to re-emerge in P6, so still a long way back behind Sainz, Perez and Hamilton, but he might be able to go to the end. He's on medium, so I don't think he'll go to the end on those tyres, so another stop will be on par of the course for Max Verstappen, but 13th and 16th at the moment. We need to get on with it. See, luckily Lando has got some brilliant pace at the moment. Down the inside of Lance Stroll at turn 1 there. Brilliant, brave move by Lando Norris to promote himself back into P11, as we got another car with issues somewhere around the circuit. Perez running wide down at turn 6 there has let Hamilton by, but yeah, there we go. Another beautiful move done, as Piastri's still losing more and more places at the moment. I've got to try and get him to at least 45 before I can bolt on a set of mediums again, and then hopefully he can come on strong late on in the GP. But Lando Norris, he's got to try and get back up towards those Alpine cars, as Alonso and Ocon once again are having another sensational weekend. Someone's binned it. It's an Alfa Romeo. It's Bottas. That could be quite important for us there. It looks like he's lost one of the end plates. No safety car. But Bottas then in the war, so he's not only going to have to do a whole lap with a damaged front wing, but that potentially allows us to gain a couple of places, as unfortunately as well, it will do the same for Alpine, so maybe not quite what we wanted at the moment, but could we get another safety car later on this afternoon? That's the other real question, as Sainz still somehow keeping Hamilton and Checo at bay. Lando Norris then all over the back of Yuki Tsunoda as we head out of the final couple of corners. We'll see if we can try and get a run down at the Assetto Corsa. In fact, no, Lando Norris getting a really good run up towards turn 1 there, to the outside of the Alpha Tauri. Not quite able to pull off anything in towards turn 1. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, not long before he's going to box once more then in this Grand Prix, trying to keep Bottas at bay, at least for now. But are we going to see Lando Norris get the run down the Assetto Corsa there? Yuki Tsunoda again will try and defend it. We're not really battling Alpha Tauri in the championship, but clearly Yuki wants to stay in the points for now. We'll just sit back. We won't worry about that. But we will bring Oscar Piastri then in a couple of laps. Right, Oscar Piastri then into the pit lane once more, as long as I can actually click the right buttons. Fresh set of the medium compound tyres to see him through to the end of the Grand Prix. But Lando Norris as well has made a couple of small errors, pushed him back behind Yuki Tsunoda there, but I'm still interested to see where he's going to come out relative to those Alpines when they finally do pit again. Can't be long before Alonso dives it back into the pit lane, but Verstappen still going incredibly well on those mediums, so I don't think he'll be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix, but he might not be far away. Sainz has got to keep pushing there as he's now behind Sergio Perez, so Sainz must have had even more issues then. Still got Hamilton behind him there. I've got no idea what's really going on between all the front runners anymore. I'm just trying to focus on our own cars. Oh, Lando! Come on! We can't be dealing with this late on in the championship there. Lando Norris just drops it down through the hairpin there, so even more cars still struggling. I mean, he's not being told to push or anything at the moment. He's just throwing away time, and this really does continue to help out the Alpines. It really does matter. You know, we've got to tell him that, but it really does at the moment. This weekend, again, is turning into a disaster. Right, Lando Norris then. Where's he going to come out relative to that Alpine of Esteban Ocon? Alonso's still trying to stay out there at the moment. He's going to be behind Esteban Ocon, I think, by the looks of it. Yes, he is just about. We've got to try and get ahead of the Alpine, and well, this is just awful, isn't it? We cannot do anything against these cars at the moment there. I mean, Ocon's going to have a fresh set of tyres to see him through to the end. We're not going to be able to keep up with him at the moment as Oscar Piastri gaining places once more, but this is just a disaster. I mean, Bottas might have to pit again. Verstappen, I think, will have to pit again, but we won't be anywhere near him. Yuki will have to pit again, but this is just a dire situation. Once all those other cars have done their pit stops there, Sainz apparently having a lock up as well. But Norris down into P11 there. Ocon in P8. Fernando Alonso in P9 would be 6 points for Alpine. And we don't even look like we're going to score points here. Verstappen still leading the way. He's only got 50% left on those tyres. So is he going to be able to stretch it right the way through to the checkered flag? Or will we see the Dutchman pit again before the end of this race? It would be an absolute masterstroke if somehow he can get those tyres right the way through to the flag. But Lando Norris, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do at the moment. We need a safety car or something. I mean, we could gamble it onto a fresh set of softs. I mean, have we got anything to lose? We may as well try it, I think, at this stage of the day. Well, I mean, we have still obviously got that fresh set of soft compound tyres, but yeah, it's just not our weekend. We just don't have the car performance anymore. It feels like we're slipping back to the early stages of the season again. Well, after Lando Norris's pit, then he's actually just re-jumped Max Verstappen in this Grand Prix. Don't battle each other too much. Come on, Lando, just get on with it. We may as well put him on the full attack mode. I don't want to let Verstappen by. We might need the extra lap to go for something, but we've got to try and close up 20 seconds in the space of, what, 12 laps here. So it is going to have to be an almighty push towards the end of this GP. But Lando Norris then, once again, has unlapped himself. Hopefully Oscar Piastri is going to let him by as well. We'll tell him don't fight your teammate once Lando gets there. But what an absolute nightmare. Oh, there we go. Verstappen into the pits at the end of 63. So he's had to leave it very, very late this afternoon. But Perez now will retake the lead here in Brazil. But where will Carlos Sainz come out ahead of Max Verstappen at the moment? The Dutchman still somehow looks like he might recover and continue to extend his advantage at the top of the table. I don't know how he's done it this weekend there, but he's going to be side by side with Verstappen as we head, with Carlos Sainz as we head out of the pit lane. There's the Dutchman, here's the Spaniard, and Verstappen heading back out of the pit lane. Then, of course, he needs to outscore him by 5 points today if he wants to wrap up the title. Charles Leclerc has also had to pit again later on in the afternoon. Hopefully, he can try and get back ahead of the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo. But 14th and 15th, what more can we do there as Charles Leclerc will re-emerge way behind them. So we desperately need Charles Leclerc to get the hammer down. Less than 10 laps to go this afternoon. It's either that or a safety car. This is this is the situation right now. Looks like Verstappen has put another move on Carlos Sainz at the moment. He is flying along late on in this day. Of course, if he came second and Sainz came sixth, Verstappen's got fastest lap as well. That would mean it. Championship over. So once again, it looks like it's going to come between Verstappen and Hamilton, but not in the way most of us would be expecting things. He's got 6 laps to do it. He's got fresh softs, I'm pretty certain, against old hard compound tyres for Lewis Hamilton there. Verstappen looks like somehow, despite the mistakes he made early on in this Grand Prix, like he will do enough to claim his second Formula 1 World Championship there as we head up the hill. He's just got so much more grip over Hamilton at the moment there. Checo Perez looks like he still might be in control, ready to take home the dub this afternoon and again help Red Bull in their Constructors' Championship. But 7 laps to go then here of the Brazilian Grand Prix. It might be the miracle drive by Max Verstappen, but for us, it has been absolutely awful there. Looks like Lando Norris is going to try and get back past Sebastian Vettel. I mean, we're still battling Aston Martins late on in the day. How has this race gone so badly for us? That's what I'm wondering at the moment. But Verstappen swoops through there around the outside of Hamilton, of course, where they had that battle in real life 2022. Verstappen now up into prime championship winning position. We've got yellow flags. Someone's been... Safety car. Safety car late on in the day. I don't think we're going to have enough time, though, to go green flag racing once again. We're not going to peel either car into the pit lane at the moment. Solely on the fact that if someone else does, we might then be able to gain something there. But that works out beautifully for Alpine. As you can see, Fernando Alonso still ahead of Charles Leclerc at the moment. Bottas has binned it down at turn 10. I mean, he just pit onto a set of softs. I don't really know why late on in the day. Has he done a Verstappen? Yes, he has. Off into the wall. A much bigger shunt, though, than Verstappen managed earlier on in the day. But now with 3 laps to go, we've got a safety car here in Brazil. We've just got to pray that we get a green flag running and that a load of other cars pit. I mean, I don't think we're really going to be able to do anything with this. And there we go then. Final lap of the Grand Prix. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. It is done here in Brazil. Sergio Perez is going to take home the race victory there. Verstappen is going to come through for P2. And let me just quickly do, of course, he's got a 20-point lead in the championship heading into this. Charles Leclerc's got fastest lap, so he will extend 6 points over Carlos Sainz in the table. That'll give him a 26-point lead as we head into Abu Dhabi. Charles Leclerc, he's out of it. It's over for him. He's going to lose out. I mean, he's going to score 7 points here against Verstappen's 18, so he's going to be 31 points back. Charles Leclerc, it's over for the for the Monegasque driver even, but it is potentially still going to be alive between Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. It is completely dependent on who has taken more wins in this campaign. So I said a couple of weeks ago in the Haas Road to Glory how that was one of the weirdest ends to a championship I've ever had, because I didn't know whether we were going to win the title or not. I don't know at the moment mathematically whether Verstappen's done enough to wrap up the Drivers' Championship here, because Carlos Sainz could still have the advantage, of course, if Verstappen retires next weekend and Sainz wins with pole position and fastest lap and race victory. He could claw back the 26 points and then take it by virtue of having more wins. But Sergio Perez then, at the final couple of corners, he really has been the only one out of Red Bull and Ferrari this weekend that hasn't made any mistakes. It has been a miracle comeback by Max Verstappen to get himself into P2 and to lock out this championship nonetheless. But Perez up towards the start-finish line there. He will win the Brazilian Grand Prix by just 16 hundredths of a second ahead of Verstappen there. Hamilton P3 ahead of Sainz, Russell, Alonso, Leclerc, Ocon, Gasly and Zhou. And for us, it's an absolute disaster.
And that's good enough work from Lando Norris this weekend. McLaren showed some good stuff here today, but they'll be building on that now to try and improve their results next time.
Yes, there's no doubt that they have what it takes. I can't wait to see which direction they go in for the next race.
The end this weekend in 5th place in the Constructor standings.
Formula One has almost reached its conclusion this year. Meet us next time in Abu Dhabi, between the desert and the sea, for an enthralling finale.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Sergio Perez takes yet another win for his campaign, but we should be able to get confirmation then in just a second whether Verstappen is champion or not there. P2 for him, a miraculous recovery. I don't know how he's managed it, but brilliant pace by the Dutchman ever since that spin on lap 1. I think he knew he just had to get on with it there, but -5 and -7 for us. Yeah, no idea. No idea how we lost so much there. Alpine scored 12 points, so they are going to jump us in the table as well. But Verstappen then, he's got 6 wins to his name this year. If Sainz has also got 6 wins, it's not over. If Sainz has got 5 wins, it's not over. If Sainz has got 4 wins, it's done. Carlos Sainz, 5 wins. So there we go then, with 26 points, the gap still between them. If Sainz is to win and take fastest lap next weekend, they could be tied. Of course, this is all based on if Verstappen retires. How many podiums has they had? Verstappen's had more podiums. I think it might be over then. I don't know if there's a way I can look through all of the results of this championship. You know, if someone I can have a look back through all of the data, that would be fantastic. Now, can I find out all his previous results? I'm not sure I can, but Verstappen has had more podiums this year, so I think he might have done enough there. That being said, it is only dependent on P2. Charles Leclerc out of the championship fight. It's done for him. Heartbreak come the end of the year. And constructors-wise, Ferrari now just lead by 8 points as we head into the final race of the year. Alpine have jumped us. How on earth we're going to outscore them by 7 next weekend, I will never quite understand. But I'm going to head back to the garage then and quickly see if we can look through all of the results to see if Verstappen is champion or not. So I've had to go back through all of our previous race results in this championship. There's no way you can just have a look, at least that I've found, at the entire drivers' table. But Verstappen, this year, has had 6 wins and 6 second places there. And a further, well, must be, what, 4 podiums, I'm guessing? 4 third places? Carlos Sainz, 5 wins, 5 second places. Verstappen has done it. It's gone down to whoever has more second places here. And of course, Sainz can't finish second in Abu Dhabi and win the World Championship. So it is done. Max Verstappen is your 2022 World Champion. It's almost as confusing as the real-life end to the year in Suzuka when Leclerc got that 5-second penalty. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back over the weekend ready for the finale of Season 1 of this career mode. We need a miracle if we want to re-jump Alpine, but I'm really hoping we can try and get it. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.